Hi, this is Brett Ingram, entrepreneur and award-winning product creator, and today I want to share with you how to find an unlimited supply of prospects for your business. So prospects, right? Leads, they're the things that make the world go round in the business world. So the question that I always get asked is, how do I get more prospects? Because everybody understands that prospects equal sales. So obviously the more prospects you have, the more leads you have, the more sales you're going to be able to make. But actually, the real question isn't how do you get more prospects? It's actually how to ensure that I profit from new prospects. And here's why that is. Because in reality, you can get unlimited prospects today. All you have to do is go on Facebook, Google AdWords, you can do media buys, you can do TV, you can do radio. So no matter what business you're in, no matter what industry that you're in, why don't you do that? Most likely it's because you're worried that you'd lose money. If you were to spend all of that money in order to take out those ads, and for that matter, you could even do billboards, right? But if you do any of that stuff, the issue is, are you going to be able to make your money back on the prospects, the leads, and the sales that you make from it? If you spent $10,000, but you knew that you were going to make $15,000 back, wouldn't you do it? Of course you would. So the issue ultimately is not really where do I find more prospects or how do I get them? The issue is really designing a sales process that maximizes the revenue. So that way we can open up more ways to get prospects and we can actually make more by spending more. Because once we have that formula unlocked, and once we have a situation where we have a sales process that will allow us to spend money and be able to make more than what we're spending, then ultimately we're in a situation where we can grow, we can scale, we can do all the things that we need to do. So it's all about sort of reframing our mindset from the perspective of where do I get prospects or how do I generate leads or any of these other kinds of things. And we need to shift the way that we think to move from that more to the perspective of, I know that the prospects are all around me. No matter what industry I'm in, I can tap into people literally, in some cases, the same day as I start to run ads. But at worst, within a few weeks or a month or whatever, for the longest term advertising type methods. And so no matter what, the prospects are there, the ability to find them is there. The question really is, how do we do it in a way that's profitable so that way it makes sense for us to do it from a business perspective? Because obviously nobody wants to lose money, and certainly nobody can afford to lose money continuously. So you have to be able to turn those prospects into profit at one point or another. So there's ultimately a simple process, and then there's some things that we can do. And so from the perspective of the process, the first thing that we need to do as a business owner is we need to understand, we need to articulate, and we need to actually get our arms around what our actual current sales process is. Now, depending on what your business is, depending on what industry you're in, it may not be something you've ever even thought about. If you don't have an in-depth sales process where you're having inbound and outbound marketing, and then you have, salespeople closing calls and things like that, you may not have even thought it through. I know, in digital business, right, I never even thought about it. I just put up a website, put a buy button on there, and was sort of like, okay, if we get some traffic to the page, then we'll make sales. And so I never really thought about it from the perspective of a sales process. I just thought, okay, if I put that stuff up there, that doesn't really cost me anything. Then it's just a question of how do I generate traffic to it? And so, yeah, it's the same question about leads, but I never thought about it from this perspective. I also always looked at it from the perspective of how do I get more prospects? How do I get more traffic? Once I understood that it's not really about that, it's that I could get thousands and thousands of views to my pages today if I want, but I need to be able to convert those views into sales, into money, in order to be able to afford what I need to do to get that traffic there. And so if you haven't thought about it in terms of that, that's the first step, is to actually break it down, because whether or not you think you have one, you have a sales process. It may not be sophisticated, it may not be well thought through, and it may not even be good, but you have a sales process if you're in business and you're making any sales. So the first step is to figure out what exactly is that. Where does it start? Where do any of the customers you're getting come from, where as leads or as prospects or as visitors? And then how are they being converted to sales? Is it walk-in traffic to your retail store? Is it something where, they're seeing an ad in the paper? Are they going to your website and buying through there? How is it that you're actually getting new customers right now? Once you understand that, the next step after sort of we've got it to a point where, okay, we understand now how we're getting our prospects. The next thing we need to do is we actually need to quantify what is happening with those prospects. So the first thing that we need to know after we know our process is, what is our conversion rate? What percentage of the people that come into our funnel as prospects, and again, by funnel, it can be your retail outlet, it can be an online website, it can be your phone bank, whatever it is, doesn't matter. But anytime that you have a contact with a potential customer, a lead, or a prospect, ultimately that right there is somebody entering your funnel. And the idea is, what is the conversion rate? So what percentage of those people are you able to convert to customers? And again, in a lot of cases, you may or may not even know this. I didn't. When I had a brick and mortar business where we actually had to pay money for advertising, believe it or not, and I'm actually ashamed to admit it, believe it or not, we were spending $15,000 a month on advertising. And initially, I wasn't even tracking where the sales came from. The phone would ring, we would answer calls, we would make sales, and I couldn't tell you which of the magazines we were advertising in were more profitable. I couldn't tell you what our return on investment was. I just knew we were making a lot of sales, we were really busy, and we had a lot of calls coming in. On another episode, I actually talked about this, how it almost bankrupted my business because when things got tight, I almost shut off the wrong lead capture system. I went to the most expensive and I almost shut it off. And it actually would have sealed our fate because it actually was the thing that was generating all the leads for us and all the sales, and 90% actually. And the other 10% was coming from the other two. So I was wasting 45% of my ad budget on ads that weren't converting and making us any money. And so that was a lesson I learned the hard way. Hopefully you don't. Hopefully you learn it the easy way, right? So we want to calculate what our conversion rate. So it's how many prospects we've got, how many of them become customers. Simple. That's our conversion rate. Then we need to figure out then what our cost per lead is. So for every person that comes into your store or comes into your funnel, what is that costing us? Now, if you say, well, I have a retail store, so I'm not doing any advertising, so I don't really have a cost. Well, you do, because you're paying real estate, you're paying rent, or you're paying a mortgage on your property. And that is your cost on a given month. So if you aren't doing any advertising and customers are walking in, you need to count every customer that walks through the door, and you need to divide that, by the amount of money that you're spending. And that's literally how you figure it out. If you're spending any money on advertising, it's real easy, because then you just count the number of leads that you got and you divide it into the cost of what you spent. And so that's the next thing that we need to figure out is, what are we actually spending per lead? And then the next thing that we want to figure out, once we know that, we know our conversion rate, and we know our cost per lead, we need to know what our cost per customer is. So how much are we spending to actually get somebody to buy from us? Now, it might seem like a little bit of overkill, because why are we figuring out conversion rate and leads? And isn't the only thing that matters cost per customer? Well, yes and no. Because the thing of it is, when we know all of our metrics, we know what areas we can look at to optimize things. If we know that our conversion rate's really low, but our cost per lead is really high, we can change some things, make some changes, so that way we optimize the whole thing. So we want to know at each step of the way of our entire sales process where the costs are, where the bottlenecks are, and where the opportunities for improvement are. That's huge in terms of being able to optimize and make more money and reduce our costs. So then we need to figure out the cost per customer. So the cost per customer is just, again, it's your total cost there, and then you have your number of customers and you just divide it, right? So that's how much it costs you to get a new customer. If you know your cost to customer and you know how much they're spending with you when they buy, and you know how much profit you're getting from that, then you could calculate the lifetime value of your customer over time. This is ultimately the golden number that we want to know. Okay, the lifetime, if you knew no other number, the lifetime value of your customer is the most important. And the reason is it lets us know over the course of this customer's lifetime with us, of their lifetime of being a customer, how much are we going to make? If we know that number, they might only buy a $20 product today, but if we have a lot of repeat buyers and they keep coming back, and now they spend another $100 and then $200 more dollars and whatever, and over the course of their life, they're going to spend $5,000 with us. And, so we generate, say, $3,000 in profit or whatever it is, then they're worth $3,000 to us over the life. So if then we're spending less than that to get them, we're in a positive return on investment situation. So that is a really great place to be as a business. If we're only making $160 on them and we're spending $200 to get them, we're in trouble. That's not a sustainable model because we're ultimately over time going to shrink and sink lower and lower and lower and lower. We have to be able to generate more from them than what we're spending in order to be able to make it profitable. But we don't always need to generate it all up front. So the equation that we want to focus on, and I don't want to take you back to your math days if it's something you don't like, but the fact is there is a little bit about this that matters in terms of knowing your metrics and knowing your numbers. So if your eyes glaze over, just bear with me because this is super important and I'll keep it as simple as I can. If the lifetime value of your customer, right, is greater than the cost of the customer to get them, then you have a profitable business. It's that simple. So once you calculate the lifetime value of your customer and you calculate the cost that it costs you to get a new customer, you have a profitable business if the lifetime value is higher. Okay? The only issue you might have is you might need float capital. So if somebody only spends $20 today, they cost you $100 to get them. They spend $20 today, $50 in 6 months, and then $100 next year. Well, it's taking you over a year to break even. And so you know that it's a sustainable model and you know that you can make money, but you are going to need float capital. If you're only relying on your own personal financing, it's going to be difficult to grow because you're never going to be generating enough revenue to cover the cost of additional ads. So what you would need to do in that case is you would need to get some float capital. But if you have positive numbers like that, that would be easier to attain. And so our goal as business owners, overall with the whole thing, is to reduce the cost per customer. So we want to reduce the cost that it takes for us to get a new customer and increase the lifetime value of the customer. So we want to get them to spend more and we want to make more. We want to reduce our costs and we want to increase our profit. It's that simple. We don't need to get complicated. We don't need to get crazy about this. The reality of it is we want to reduce and minimize the cost it takes to get a new customer, and we want to maximize the lifetime value of the customer that we get out of them. The higher we can make that margin, the more we make versus the less we spend, the more profitable, scalable, and sustainable our business is going to become. And it's really, really that simple. So we don't need to overcomplicate it. Now, we can do that, right? So we can do that by making more from our customers, by making more on average per customer or spending less to get them, or hopefully, in an ideal world, we want to do both. We want to be able to spend less and we want to be able to make more. So, okay, the question then becomes, all right, I get it. So what I want to do is I want to be able to get customers and I want to be able to spend less to get them and I want to be able to maximize what I'm going to make from each customer that I've got. But how do I actually do that? Well, that's the next step. Once we understand all of that, the question is, how do we go from where we are? Let's say we're in a negative situation where it's costing us $31 to get a customer and they're worth $29. It's not necessarily fatal, but we need to make some tweaks to get that fixed. And so the very first thing that we want to do is we want to test our front end offer. So whatever that is, whatever the first contact is with a customer that we sell right? So whether it's a walk-in thing or an online thing, we want to test that. We want to try different things, change the price points, change the offer, make some adjustments to it, change things on the sales page or whatever it is, or on the the marquee or whatever we're using to get sales, to see if we can get a higher sale rate right off the bat. Because if our front end offer is maximized, it's easier to maximize all the rest. If we can get more customers into the funnel, it's a lot easier to make more on the back end later. So we want to test that front end offer. Don't assume, even if it's really good, that that's the best you can do. I've seen people tweak an offer and double the percent of that they're selling, and then they're kicking themselves because if they had only done that sooner, they would have made a lot more over a lot longer period of time. So the first thing you want to do is test your front end offer. Try different things to make it work and see. The key is you got to monitor the results to see what is getting you the best return on investment. Where are you making the most sales? And once you've got that, you can continue to test and continue to optimize that. The next thing is there's a few different things that we can do to increase the amount of money that our average customer spends with us. One is an upsell. And this is real simple. Somebody comes and they want to buy this. Hey, you can get this bigger quantity, or you can get this and this, for this much extra, right? So you can upsell them and get them to spend more right at the time. Another thing that you could do is a cross sell. So if they're buying a lantern from your camping store, you could sell them a tent. You could sell them some fuel for the lantern or whatever it is. So you're selling them something that's related, but it's not exactly the same product. But it's something that they're likely to need if they're buying the one thing. Another thing that we can do is we can add a continuity program. This is huge because it's money that comes in month after month, and oftentimes there's people that don't even use it. So if it's a service business in particular, I know the car wash around the corner used to be a one and done. You go in, you pay your money, you get your car wash, and you leave. And the place was struggling. It ended up going out of business or selling out. A new person bought it, came in, and put in a monthly wash club. The line for the cars is around the corner and down the street. It's actually a little annoying. But the point is, they're raking in this money, and some of those people are probably there every day getting their car washed. So they're getting their money's worth. But there's a lot of people spending $30 a month that are never even getting their car washed more than once a month. So the car wash is killing it by using a continuity model. And this will work in any business. You just need to get creative for how you can add continuity. It doesn't always have to be additional products every month. It can be service, it can be priority like support or whatever you want, but that way you can get a continuity thing out of it. You can do email marketing. If you aren't capturing the names and email addresses of all of your customers and sending out proactive sales flyers and emails to make more sales, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. You can make a lot extra from your customers and prospects by doing that. You can do bundling, where you say, okay, I know you want to buy this, but if you buy these 3 things with it, you get a 25% discount. You get them all together. That's going to get people to spend more. You can also, on the back end, improve your customer service. Take a look at what your refund rate is. If your refund rate is high at all, by improving your customer service, you reduce refunds. That keeps more money in your business, which means it's a higher average cost or higher average profit per customer. So reducing refunds is as good as making sales. It also keeps customers happy. The other thing that you could do that's sort of an unrelated income stream, but it's still money from your current list, is you can offer affiliate offers. So you can promote other businesses' offers. You get a percentage of the sale to your existing customer base. It generates more revenue per customer that you have, because every customer you have, you can send these offers out to. And that way, you're able to generate more revenue on average per customer by selling other people's products as well. It doesn't matter where the sales come from. It just matters that you make more, so you're making more than what you're spending to bring in new customers. Now, if we shift gears and we look at how do we spend less in order to get more customers, okay, that's another great way to do it. The first thing we could do is we could build a following. You could start a podcast. You can start a social media channel, a YouTube channel. You can start an email list. All of these things, if you're putting out content and you're doing it on a daily or weekly or monthly basis, and you refer people to it, so you start to build that following over time, what will happen is people will seek you out to buy. You won't need to hard sell people in order to get them to buy. They'll see your content. Your message will resonate with people. They'll like what you have to offer and they'll want to buy it. And so that's a great way. It takes time. It's not something that's going to work overnight. But if you build a following, that's a super powerful way to be able to generate extra revenue and spend a lot less to get new people in the funnel. You can JV partner and lead share with other businesses. So if there are businesses that aren't competitors of yours, but they're in a sort of similar space where their customer base has overlap, then you can say, hey, every lead you get, if you share it with me so I can sell my products to them, I'll share mine with you, et cetera, et cetera. Or you could cross promote for each other. You could send out a flyer for your business, for their business and your stuff. They can send one out for your business and their stuff, or by email in the footer or whatever else. But you could JV partner with other businesses. You could put cards in somebody else's business for your business. They could take cards and put them in yours. That way you're sort of cross-pollinating your customer bases and you're getting free leads without spending anything extra. And you're helping each other at the same time. You can institute a referral program. So you can actually tell your customers, listen, if you refer 10 people, I'm going to give you a discount, whatever it is. You can also start your own affiliate program where you give customers and anybody who wants to promote your stuff a percentage of the sale for bringing in new customers. All of those are ways where you can get customers for free and you only pay after they become customers by giving people a discount or by giving people a percentage of what they sell, but it's only after the sales are made. So those are a bunch of awesome ways to increase the average lifetime value of the customer and to decrease the cost to get new customers. And that is really the magic in terms of making this happen. So the takeaway here is that really there are unlimited prospects that we can tap into at any time. So the question isn't really where do we go to find new leads and customers, but rather how do we optimize our sales process to ensure we make more from each new customer than we spend to bring them in. When you have that in your business, you have the key to unlimited growth and success.